battlefield was silent, but not peaceful. Smoke still rose from broken machines, and the ground was painted with dark stains. Bodies of both humans and aliens lay still under the broken sky. Among the ruins, one figure still breathed, though her body was broken. She was an alien warrior, once proud and feared. Her armor was cracked. Her blade lay far from her reach. Her body did not move. Her legs refused to answer her call. She could only lie there, her sharp eyes staring at the sky above. The warrior had fought harder than anyone. She had led her people into battle, never knowing fear. But now, with her spine shattered and her body paralyzed, she was left behind. Her clan moved past her. Some gave her only a glance. One of them spat near her, saying, "She is no use now." Another whispered, "Let the ground take her. The weak do not belong with us." And just like that, they left her. Her heart burned with rage. She wanted to scream, to rise, to fight, but her body betrayed her. She had always believed her people would fight beside her until the end, but now she saw the truth. They would not carry her weight. They would not waste time on the broken. To them, she was already dead. She closed her eyes for a moment. She thought of her victories, of the countless battles where her blade was feared, and she thought, was this truly her end? Alone, paralyzed, left to rot on the ground, a proud warrior, abandoned by her own blood. The sound of footsteps made her open her eyes again. Not her people, not her clan. The sound was different, heavy boots, slower. She turned her head with effort, and there he was, a human soldier. He looked worn, his uniform torn, his face covered with dirt, but his eyes were sharp, alert. He carried his rifle loosely, but he was not aiming. He looked at her, and she looked back at him. Two enemies, staring across the silence of death. For a moment, the warrior thought he would kill her. That would be simple. She was helpless. She could not fight back. His hand moved slightly toward his weapon, and her heart pounded. She waited for the final strike, but it never came. The human soldier stepped closer instead. He studied her broken armor, her paralyzed legs, her bloodied hands. His eyes softened, just a little. There was no mockery in his face, no cruelty. Only something she did not expect. Pity. The alien warrior snarled, "Do it, human, end me." Her voice was rough, filled with shame, but he did not raise his weapon. He crouched down, close enough that she could see the weariness in his eyes. "You're not dead yet," he said quietly. "Why should I kill you?" Her breath caught. Did he not understand? She was his enemy. She was trained to slaughter his kind, and yet, here he was, speaking as if she was more than just a foe. "You're broken," she spat, her pride burning her throat. "Even my people left me. They will not carry the weight of the paralyzed." The human studied her again. For a moment, silence stretched between them. Only the wind carried the ashes across the field. Then he said, slowly, "Maybe your people left you, but I won't." The word struck her like a blade. Why? Why would he, her enemy, choose to say such a thing? It made no sense. It defied everything she knew. Humans were supposed to hate her kind, to kill on sight, and yet, this one looked at her as if she was still alive, still worth something. Her chest tightened. She wanted to shout at him, to reject him, but deep inside, where the warrior's pride had already cracked, something small flickered hope. The human soldier glanced around. He knew staying here was dangerous. Scouts from either side could appear at any moment. Still, he made a choice. He slung his rifle behind him and reached out. His arms slid under her broken form, lifting her with effort. Her body was heavier than she looked, but he carried her anyway. The alien warrior's eyes widened. No one had touched her since she fell. Her own people had abandoned her, but this man, this human, carried her as if she was not an enemy, as if she was not a burden, as if she was worth saving. Every step he took was a risk. Every sound in the ruins could mean death. But he did not let go. and for the first time since her fall, the alien warrior felt something strange. Not victory, not pride, but safety. The battlefield was still dangerous, death was still close, but something had changed. The broken warrior was no longer alone, and so began the story of a human soldier, and the alien warrior everyone else refused to save. The human soldier carried her through the ruins. His breath was heavy, his steps slow but steady. The alien warrior could feel every jolt of movement, every tremble of his muscles. She wanted to curse him, to demand why he would not just leave her, yet her voice failed. Her pride was broken, but her heart still refused to understand. He stopped for a moment, lowering her carefully against a wall half destroyed by fire. His chest rose and fell as he caught his breath. His rifle rested against his back, ready but unused. He looked at her again, and she saw something in his eyes that was more dangerous than hate. Compassion. "Why?" she demanded, her voice low but sharp. "Why would you do this, human? I was your enemy. I would have killed you if I had the chance." The soldier wiped the dirt from his brow, his face tired but calm. "I know," he said simply. "I saw you fight. I saw your strength. I know you could have killed me." He leaned forward slightly, his voice quieter. "But I also saw the way your people left you behind." His words cut deeper than a blade. Her jaw tightened. Her hands clenched weakly at her sides. Shame burned inside her. He had seen it, the greatest humiliation of her life. Her people abandoning her like broken armor. "You should hate me," she whispered. "You should put a bullet through my skull and be done with it." Her voice shook, not with fear, but with rage at her helplessness. But he shook his head. "No, I don't kill the helpless," he said, "and I don't leave someone to die when I can help them." For a long moment, the silence between them was heavy. The alien warrior stared at him, searching for weakness, for mockery, but there was none. He truly believed his own words. It was madness, she thought. Madness to risk his life for an enemy. She tried to laugh, but it came out as a broken sound. "You are a fool, human. Your people will not thank you for this." The soldier's eyes hardened a little. "I don't care," he replied. "I don't do this for thanks." He stood again, pulling her back into his arms with effort. Her body was weak, heavy, but he bore the weight without complaint. The warrior could feel his heart pounding against her side. She could hear his breath, steady, controlled. It was strange. She had fought humans before, seen them as nothing but prey or obstacles. But this one carried her, as if her life mattered. They moved slowly through the ruins. Every shadow seemed alive. Every sound could mean danger. The human soldier kept his eyes sharp, scanning for movement. She could sense his caution, the way his hand never strayed too far from his weapon. Yet still, he never dropped her. Finally, he found shelter, a broken bunker, half buried in rubble. He set her down gently inside. It was dark, damp, but safer than the open field. He lit a small flame from his kit, its faint glow pushing back the shadows. The warrior looked at him, her eyes narrowing. "You risk your life for me, human, but what will you gain?" "Nothing." The soldier sat across from her, his back against the wall. "I gain the knowledge that I did what was right," he said. "I don't care what others say. Not my people, not yours." She stared at him in disbelief. Her people had taught her that strength was everything, that the weak were useless, that mercy was a chain. And yet here was this human, breaking every law she had ever lived by, defying both armies. For her, her chest felt tight, her pride torn. She wanted to scream at him, to reject his strange kindness. But another part of her, the part that feared the cold, lonely death she had faced, kept her silent. She looked at him, really looked, and for the first time, she wondered if perhaps humans were not as weak as her people claimed. The night deepened. Outside, the battlefield shifted with distant shouts and the crack of weapons. The human soldier closed his eyes for only a moment, resting, but she could see the lines of exhaustion on his face. He had chosen this, she realized. He had chosen her, even though it would cost him, and in the darkness. The alien warrior felt something she had not felt since before her fall. Not shame, not rage, but a spark, the knowledge that she was not completely abandoned, that one human had seen her broken form and still said, "You are worth saving." The warrior turned her head, staring at the flickering flame. Her mind raced. Her heart fought against her pride. This was not the end of her story. No, this was the beginning of something else. Something dangerous, something powerful, and she did not know if it would end in her salvation or her destruction. The human soldier woke before dawn. The cold air bit at his skin, and the bunker walls felt damp and heavy. He looked at the alien warrior, still lying where he had placed her. Her eyes were open, glowing faintly in the dim light. She had not slept, not really. She had been watching him through the night, waiting, studying, testing. "You could have killed me in my sleep," he said quietly. She narrowed her eyes. "If I could move, human, I would have," but her voice lacked the sharpness it once held. It carried something else now, something closer to curiosity. The soldier gave a tired smile. "Then it's a good thing you can't," he answered. He adjusted the strap of his rifle and leaned forward. "We can't stay here. They'll find us." Her heart thudded. She asked, her voice cold. "My people," he said simply. "And yours." He lifted her again, his muscles straining against her armored body. Every step was slow, every sound too loud in the silence. The warrior could feel his heart pounding. Steady and determined, his arms trembled, but he refused to let her fall. Outside, the battlefield was waking. Smoke drifted in the air, mixed with the faint cries of scavengers feeding on the dead. The ruins stretched endlessly, broken towers leaning against each other like fallen giants. It was a place for ghosts. And yet, within that ghostland, they moved one human, carrying an enemy on his back. "Why do you keep me alive?" she asked suddenly, her voice sharp, almost angry. "Your people will call you a traitor. Mine will call you a fool. What is your purpose, human?" He did not answer right away. His boots crunched over shattered stone. He shifted her weight, carefully, refusing to drop her, even as his legs shook. "Finally," he said, "because leaving you would make me less human." His words silenced her. Less human. What kind of answer was that? Her people taught that only strength defined worth. But here was a man saying his worth came from mercy. She clenched her jaw. "Your mercy will kill you," she spat. "They will find us, and both our lives will end." He only nodded, as if he already knew. "Maybe," he said. "But at least I'll know I didn't walk away." They traveled through ruined streets. At every corner, shadows threatened them. The sound of distant patrols, sometimes human, sometimes alien, echoed through the rubble. The soldier hid when he had to. Holding her close, every moment was risk. Every heartbeat could be their last. Once, a group of alien scouts passed nearby. The warrior stiffened in his arms, her eyes wide. She could hear their voices, cold and sharp. "They left me," she whispered, bitter. "They would kill me now. If they saw me." The human pressed himself into the shadows, holding his breath until the voices faded. When they were gone, he looked at her. "Then I won't let them see you," he said firmly. She turned her face away. His words were dangerous. They cut through the shield of pride she had always carried, and she hated that they warmed something inside her she thought was long dead. Hours passed. The human staggered, his legs heavy, but he never let go. The warrior could feel the strain in his body, the heat of his skin against the cold morning air. She wanted to mock him, to call him weak, but the words died in her throat. Because weak men did not carry enemies across battlefields. Weak men did not walk toward death with steady steps. They reached the shell of an old tower. The soldier set her down gently, his arms trembling from the weight. He dropped beside her, breathing hard, sweat dripping down his face. Still, he smiled. Faintly. "You're heavier than you look," he joked softly. She almost laughed, but instead she looked away, fighting the strange tightness in her chest. "You are insane," she whispered. He shrugged. "Maybe." Then his eyes grew serious. "But I made my choice." He leaned closer. "You're not just some enemy warrior left to die, you're alive. And that's enough reason for me." Her breath caught. His words were simple, but they shook her more than any blade. No one had ever said such things to her. Not her clan, not her leaders. To them, her worth was strength, and without it, she was nothing. But this human looked at her broken body and still saw life worth protecting. Footsteps echoed in the distance again, closer this time. The soldier grabbed his rifle, his body tense. The warrior's eyes sharpened. "They're coming," she whispered. Both armies hunted them now. Her people wanted her gone. His people wanted him loyal. Together, they were outcasts, prey in a world of predators. And yet, as the soldier readied his weapon, and as the warrior's heart pounded in her chest, one truth became clear to both of them. They were no longer just enemies. They were something else now, bound by a choice neither of them understood, but one that would change everything. Darkness swallowed the ruins as night fell. The human soldier and the alien warrior found shelter inside a broken building, its roof half gone and its walls leaning like tired giants. The wind howled through cracks, carrying the scent of smoke and blood. The soldier placed her gently against a slab of stone, then sat near the entrance with his rifle resting on his lap. The alien warrior watched him in silence. Her sharp eyes glowed faintly in the dim light, reflecting the flicker of a small fire he had dared to build. She still could not move her body. Her legs were dead, her arms weak, but her mind was alive, racing. She hated this weakness, this stillness, and yet, she hated more the way his presence unsettled her. "Why do you stay awake?" she asked at last, her voice low. He glanced at her, his face shadowed by the flames. "Because danger doesn't sleep," he replied. She narrowed her eyes. "You fear my people." He shook his head. "I fear both yours and mine." That answer made her chest tighten. It was true, she realized. Both armies would kill them without hesitation. To her people, she was a burden, a shame. To his people, he was a traitor, carrying the enemy. "You are trapped between two worlds, human," she said, her voice harsh. "They will crush you, and I will be the weight that drags you down." He leaned his head back against the wall, his gaze steady. "Maybe," he admitted, "but at least I'll go down knowing I did what was right." His words stabbed her pride. Right? What was right about saving the broken? What was right about defying his own kind? She wanted to spit at him, to tell him he was weak, but the firelight caught his eyes, and she saw no weakness there. Only a strange strength she did not understand. The silence stretched, heavy and long. The alien warrior finally broke it, her voice quieter this time. "When I could still fight, when I stood on my legs. I nearly killed you once." The soldier gave a faint smile. "I remember. You don't hate me for it." She pressed. He shook his head slowly. "No, I don't waste time on hate." She blinked, stunned by his answer. Her people lived on hate. It gave them purpose, but this human, he seemed to live on something else entirely. It unsettled her more than any blade. The fire crackled softly, shadows dancing across the ruined walls. The soldier pulled a piece of dried food from his pack and chewed quietly. He tore a small piece and held it out to her. Her pride screamed to refuse, but her hunger, sharp and biting, betrayed her. She accepted, her eyes never leaving his face as she ate. It tasted bland, but in that moment it felt like a feast. Her voice was softer now, almost uncertain. "My people, we have laws. The paralyzed are left behind. They say the weak poison the strong. If you cannot walk, you are nothing." Her words shook, though she tried to hide it. The human's face hardened. "Then your laws are cruel," he said flatly. She flinched. No one had ever said that before. Cruel. No, her people called it survival. Yet hearing it from him made her question it, and she hated that part of her. Agreed. "You speak as if weakness has worth," she whispered. He leaned closer, his eyes steady. Because it does, everyone can fall, but that doesn't mean they stop being who they are. His words struck deep. She wanted to reject them, but the firelight reflected in his eyes, and she saw no lie there, for the first time. She felt her pride falter, not from shame, but from doubt. Outside, the night grew dangerous. Voices echoed in the distance, human scouts calling to each other. The soldier quickly kicked dirt over the fire, plunging them into darkness. He raised his rifle, eyes sharp. The warrior held her breath, her heart racing. Footsteps came close to close. She could hear the crunch of boots, the metallic click of weapons. The soldier pressed himself against the wall, one hand steadying her. For a long, tense moment, the enemy patrol passed just outside. Then, slowly, the sounds faded. The warrior let out a breath she had not realized she was holding. Her body trembled, not from fear, but from the shock of survival. She looked at the human soldier. He was calm, steady, even as danger brushed past them. Her pride cracked even further, because in that moment, she felt safe with him. When silence returned, the soldier lowered his weapon. He sat back down, his body finally relaxing. "You see," he whispered, "we survived." Her voice was hoarse. "Because of you." He gave a faint smile. "Because of us." That single word echoed in her mind. Us, not human, an alien, not enemies, us, together. Her chest tightened, and for the first time, she turned her face away to hide her expression. The night dragged on, long and cold, but something had changed in the darkness. They were no longer just two survivors clinging to life. They were something more, and though neither of them spoke it, they both felt it, the bond of the long night. The sun rose slowly, painting the ruins with pale light. The human soldier blinked against the brightness, his body stiff after the long night. He stretched his arms, then turned to the alien warrior. She was awake, her eyes sharp as always, though her body refused to move. "You didn't sleep," he said quietly. "I don't need sleep when danger is all around," she replied coldly. But her voice lacked the edge it once carried. He only nodded. "Then you're right, because today will be worse than yesterday." And he was right. Not long after, the sound of boots echoed across the broken streets. This time, it was not one side, but both human voices shouted orders. Alien growls answered them. Patrols from each army moved through the ruins, hunting for survivors, hunting for them. The warrior's heart pounded. "They are here for me," she whispered bitterly. "My people call me dead weight, but they will not risk me falling into your hands, and your people will call you a traitor for carrying me." The human soldier checked his rifle, his jaw tightening. "Then we have enemies on all sides," he said grimly. "But that doesn't change my choice." He lifted her again, his muscles straining but steady. Every step he took was heavy, but his grip was firm. The alien warrior could hear the voices, growing louder. Both armies were closing in like wolves circling prey. At one corner, they stopped suddenly. Two human soldiers appeared in the distance. Scanning the rubble, the alien warrior's eyes widened. "They will kill me on sight," she hissed. "They'll kill you too," the human replied. Without hesitation, he pressed himself against the wall, pulling her close. He held his breath as the patrol passed only a few feet away. Her pulse thundered in her ears. The soldiers moved on, never knowing the man they hunted was just behind them. When the path cleared, the soldier moved again. But danger came from the other side. This time, alien scouts appeared, their armor glinting in the morning light. They carried long blades and rifles, their voices sharp and cruel. One of them laughed. The paralyzed traitor must have crawled somewhere to die. Let the scavengers finish her. The warrior's face burned with rage. She had been their leader once, their strongest blade. Now they spoke of her as if she was dirt beneath their boots. She looked at the human soldier carrying her, and hissed through her teeth. "If they see us, they will gut us both." He gave her a quick, firm look. "Then we won't let them see us." he whispered, and somehow, his calmness steadied her more than her pride ever could. They hid in a collapsed tunnel, waiting as alien scouts passed above. The air was thick with dust, every breath harsh. The human soldier's arms trembled from holding her weight so long, yet he did not put her down, not even for a moment. Her throat tightened. Why risk so much for her? When the scouts finally moved on, the soldier set her down gently. He crouched beside her, his face pale with exhaustion. "We can't keep running forever," he admitted. "They'll close the circle soon." The warrior's jaw clenched. Her mind was still sharp, even if her body was broken. She studied the ruins around them. "There is a way," she said slowly. "You fight with your rifle, but you cannot see the traps my people lay. I will guide you, human, if you listen. We might survive." The soldier's eyes met hers. "Steady, I'll listen," he said without hesitation. And in that moment, something shifted. It was no longer just him carrying her. It was them fighting together. Through the day, they moved carefully. The warrior gave soft instructions, warning him where alien mines would lie. She showed him where human scouts usually set ambushes. With her knowledge and his strength, they avoided death again and again. Each moment built something stronger between them. Not trust, not fully, but something close, a bond forged by survival. But the circle was closing. By evening, both armies were tightening their nets. The sound of gunfire cracked in the distance, followed by alien roars. The soldier pressed his back against the wall, clutching his rifle. "They'll find us soon," he muttered. The warrior's eyes glowed in the fading light. "Then when they do, we fight together," she whispered. "You fight with your body and I fight with my mind." The soldier gave a faint, tired smile. "Enemies on all sides," he said. "But maybe that makes us stronger." The alien warrior stared at him. Stronger? How could weakness make strength? And yet, she could not deny the truth. Her mind and his body had kept them alive this far. Two broken pieces, fitting together. As darkness fell again, they heard the approaching footsteps from every direction. Both armies hunting them at once. The soldier raised his weapon. Steady hands, despite his exhaustion. The warrior whispered plans, her voice sharp, guiding him like a commander once more. Together, they prepared for the storm, and though the night promised death, neither of them felt alone. For the first time, they were not alien and human, not enemy and foe. They were two souls, standing against the world, enemies on all sides, yet stronger together. The ruins shook with the echoes of distant gunfire. The human soldier crouched low, his rifle ready, sweat dripping from his forehead. Beside him, the alien warrior lay against the broken wall, her body still paralyzed, but her eyes sharp and alive. She listened to the sounds carefully. Every shout, every footstep. Her mind, though trapped in her unmoving body, was still the mind of a commander. "They're moving in a circle," she whispered, her voice steady. "Both sides, they mean to trap us like animals." The soldier nodded, adjusting his weapon. "Then we break the circle," he said firmly. She almost smiled at his simplicity. Always direct, always stubborn. Yet she knew that was the strength that kept them alive. He lifted her again, his arms trembling from exhaustion. Still, he carried her as though she was not dead weight. Her chest tightened, a feeling she tried to bury. She was a warrior, trained to hide weakness, but now she was the weakness, and still this human chose her. Again and again, as they moved through the shadows of ruined towers, she spoke. "My people do not save the broken," she said bitterly. "We have laws. If you cannot walk, you are nothing." Even our strongest leaders have left their own kin to die when their bodies failed. It is survival, human. The soldier grunted as he adjusted her weight. "Then your laws are wrong," he said simply. Her eyes widened, a flicker of anger, mixing with confusion. "Wrong." No one had ever dared say that. He glanced at her, his voice low but firm. "You fought harder than anyone. You led them with strength. Now they leave you because you can't stand." That's not survival. That's cruelty. His words cut through her pride like a blade. She wanted to argue, to defend her people, but deep inside, she knew he spoke the truth. For the first time, shame shifted into something else, something she had not felt in years. Hope. Her voice trembled slightly. If I ever walk again, human, I will not stand against you. I will stand beside you. The soldier paused, staring at her with surprise. Her glowing eyes held his steadily. This was not a trick, not a lie. This was her oath, spoken from a heart once hardened by pride. You promised that? He asked quietly. Her voice was rough, but clear. I swear it, by the blood of my clan. You saved me when no one else would. You carried me when my own people spat on me. If my legs rise again, they will rise for you. His throat tightened. At her words, he had not asked for loyalty, not even gratitude, but her promise felt heavier than the rifle in his hands. He nodded slowly, his voice firm. Then I'll carry you until that day comes. The moment passed quickly as the sound of approaching soldiers drew near. He crouched low, pressing her against the rubble for cover. Human voices shouted in one direction. Alien growls answered in another. The trap was closing. The soldier raised his rifle, steady hands despite exhaustion. Guide me, he whispered. Her sharp eyes scanned the shadows. There, she said. 2 soldiers to the left. Wait until they pass the broken beam. Another group to the right. Aim for their leader. He carries the signal. He followed her words without hesitation. Gunfire cracked, echoing through the ruins. 2 human scouts fell. Then an alien officer dropped with a scream. The circle wavered, just enough for them to slip through. The soldier ran, carrying her in his arms, his breath ragged but unbroken. She shouted warnings, guiding his steps. Left, take cover. Now right, move fast. Together, they became one, his body, her mind, 2 halves fighting as one whole. Hours passed like this, a blur of running, hiding, fighting. Every time death closed in, they pushed it back. The soldier's arms shook with strain, but he never let her fall. The warrior's pride cracked again and again, not from shame, but from awe. This human was no fool, no weakling. He was fire wrapped in flesh, and he carried her as if her weight was nothing. At last, they collapsed into an abandoned shelter. The soldier lowered her gently to the ground, his chest heaving. She stared at him, her voice low. You are not like the others, she whispered. You fight not only for yourself, you fight for me, even when I am useless. He gave a tired smile. You're not useless, he said. You're alive, and that's enough. Her eyes softened. For a long moment, silence hung between them. The alien warrior had given him her oath, and in her heart, she knew she would keep it. If she ever stood again, she would fight at his side, not as enemy, not as burden, but as ally, maybe even more. The night grew heavy around them. The sounds of their enemies still echoed in the distance. But something inside the ruins had changed. The warrior was no longer just a broken body left behind. She was a promise, bound to a human soldier, and promises, once spoken by her kind, were stronger than steel. The ruins trembled under the weight of marching boots. Dust fell from the broken ceiling of the shelter, where the human soldier and the alien warrior hid. Both armies had closed, and the trap was complete. There would be no more running. The soldier checked his rifle one last time, his hands steady even though his body was shaking with exhaustion. The alien warrior lay against the wall, her paralyzed body still broken, yet her eyes burned with fire. They are here, she whispered. They will not stop until one of us is dead. He nodded slowly. Then we don't die quietly. The sound of voices filled the air. Human commanders barked orders. Alien scouts growled threats. Both sides pushed closer, unaware that inside the ruins, their prey was ready. The soldier took a deep breath. He looked at the alien warrior. If I fall, they'll kill you, he said firmly. Her eyes locked on his, sharp and unyielding. Then do not fall, she replied. Her voice carried no weakness now. She was still a commander, even without her legs. The first shadows appeared at the entrance. The soldier raised his rifle, and fire lit the darkness. 2 men dropped instantly, their bodies falling hard against the rubble. Shouts followed, the circle tightening. Bullets struck the walls, shards of stone flying through the air. The alien warrior shouted commands, her voice sharp and clear. Right side. Aim low. They'll try to flank from the broken arch. The soldier obeyed without hesitation. Each shot was guided by her mind. Each movement was fueled by her fire. The ruins became a storm of chaos. Bullets and blades, human voices and alien roars. The soldier fought like a beast, moving with desperate strength. He ducked, rolled, fired, struck with the butt of his weapon when he had no time to reload. Still, he never left her side. Every move was made with her safety in mind. The alien warrior shouted again, "Above you. 3 more. The one in the middle first." He spun and fired, the middle soldier collapsing before the others could act. Her eyes gleamed, even paralyzed. She was still a leader. Together, they were unstoppable. But the numbers grew. The circle pressed closer. Humans and aliens now realized something strange. Their enemies were not fighting each other. They were fighting together, and that sight brought hesitation. For a moment, both armies faltered, confused by what they saw in the silence between. Gunfire. The alien warrior raised her voice. "You abandoned me." She roared at her own kind. "You left me to die like waste. And you," her eyes turned toward the human soldiers, "you hunt the only man with honor among you. Look at him, a human who carried me when none of you would even touch me." The words cut through the battlefield, some faces twisted with shame, others with rage, but none could deny the truth. A human soldier and an alien warrior, 2 enemies stood together against the world. Gunfire broke the silence again. The soldier fought harder, his arms burning, his body nearly at its limit. Still, he stood, shielding her with his own body. Bullets grazed his side, blood staining his uniform, but he did not fall. Not yet. The alien warrior's heart pounded. She had sworn her promise, and she would not let it end here. Her voice thundered over the chaos. "You may break my body, but you will never break my spirit. And as long as this human breathes, I am not defeated." The enemy forces hesitated again, for the first time. They looked not at a broken warrior and a traitor, but at something greater. 2 souls bound by fire and defiance. 2 enemies who had chosen each other over war. The soldier fired his last rounds, the rifle clicking empty. He gritted his teeth and raised it like a club, swinging at the nearest attacker. His chest heaved, blood running down his arm. Still, he refused to fall. The warrior's voice carried him, guiding every strike, every breath, and then, silence. The enemies pulled back, unwilling to press further. Whispers filled the air. Fear, confusion, respect. The human soldier stood tall, his body broken but unyielding. The alien warrior sat proud, despite her paralyzed form, her eyes blazing. Together, they had forced 2 armies to stop. The human dropped beside her, his chest rising and falling. "We're still alive," he whispered. She turned her head toward him, her voice soft but strong. "We live, because you chose me when no one else would." In that moment, her promise became unbreakable. If she ever walked again, it would not be for her people. It would not be for war. It would be for him, the human who carried the paralyzed warrior when the galaxy left her to die. And as the ruins fell silent once more, their story did not end. It was only beginning.